Meghan Markle, not Prince Harry, is the driving force behind the brand which the royal couple is building. And her far-reaching ambitions could even extend to a political career, a royal expert has said. And Jonathan Sacerdoti said the rumored choice of ghostwriter for Harry's eagerly anticipated. Penguin Random House published memoir later this year underlines their willingness to pull out the big guns in the PR battle with Buckingham Palace. Referring to the former Suits star, Mr. Sacerdoti, a regular commentator on Sky News as well as a contributor to The Spectator, said, "She grew up with high ambitions and started to reach them as an actress. Putting in the work, obviously not a terribly successful actress in terms of being well known internationally. Until she then married Prince Harry, and then she has become probably one of the most known or recognizable names in the world just by marrying somebody. I think that shows an enormous amount of planning and ambition, and now they're doing having left the family shows again. I don't mean to be totally unromantic, maybe she did fall in love with Harry. Maybe their relationship is also one of partnership and love in that respect. But you don't marry into the royal family, I think, without knowing what it's going to do to your reputation and your exposure internationally. And then I think they've used that to their advantage. Many would say is their right." Meghan caused a stir with a video she and Harry uploaded in the run-up to last year's presidential election urging people to vote, with skeptics suggesting it amounted to an implicit endorsement of Democrat Joe Biden, as well as hinting at where her future may lie. Mr. Sacerdoti said, "She could well have political ambitions, I've read that elsewhere and it wouldn't surprise me. But she's building a brand empire with all the decisions, and I see her as the driving force as opposed to him. I must say that many people do see her as the driving force behind this. Obviously they're working closely together in it, and they're even very careful about who does what, in terms of their public attention. She's written a children's book and he's being sent out much more frequently now to talk about things like mental health." Recent YouGov polling has suggested both Harry and Meghan's popularity is sinking on this side of the Atlantic, with the prince having an approval rating of just 31% and his wife just 1 point more. Mr. Sacerdoti told Royal UK Story, "Perhaps the book will be an attempt to regain some of that support. Though it doesn't seem clear whether or not Harry and Meghan are interested in public support in the UK at all anymore. They may be aiming at a completely different market internationally or in America, and maybe at younger people rather than older people. So maybe in leaving behind the royal family, they've chosen to market themselves towards a totally different demographic, and therefore they maybe don't mind that slide in popularity here. There was undoubtedly a massive audience for whatever Harry has to say later this year," Mr. Sacerdoti pointed out. He added, "There are so many issues that he could talk about in that book, and not just the recent things you know. His own troubled childhoods, the revelations that there was a time when he was a teenager when he was smoking cannabis or drinking heavily. His dressing up as a Nazi in a Nazi uniform at the age of 20 and his development now to saying he's an anti-racist. His marriage to Meghan, his previous relationships, one of which went on for I think about 6 years. His time in the army, let's not forget he may not be popular now, but he was at one time very popular, not least because he took this active role in the British military, he flew Apache helicopters. He's certainly lived an interesting and varied life, and that's not even mentioning his parents' very public divorce when he was still a child. Diana's death when he was 12 years old, the enormous attention on him, just during the funeral when he was made to walk behind the coffin. The rumored choice of ghostwriter, J.R. Moringer, underlined the seriousness with which Harry and Meghan were taking the memoir, Mr. Sacerdoti said. He explained, "Moringer is very experienced at telling stories of very famous people in a way that's engaging and well written. So, if one might have been worried, or if Penguin Random House might have been worried about Harry's own lack of eloquence or literary ability, they've certainly put him in safe hands in linking up a ghostwriter of that caliber. I think it is a huge challenge for them, but I think that they've pulled out the big guns. Oprah Winfrey, Penguin Random House, J.R. Moringer, these are not small measures in terms of trying to set the tone on how they're seen." The Duke of Sussex announced on July 20th he had been writing about his life in a new memoir. Since then, reports suggest there is growing disquiet in the royal family over potential bombshells from the Duke. Harry's first draft is said to be almost completely written and has been tipped to cover his childhood, his parents' divorce, and his mother Diana's death, as well as his war years and the fallout from his decision to quit as a senior working royal. In a statement, the Duke said, "I'm writing this not as the prince I was born but as the man I have become. I've worn many hats over the years, both literally and figuratively, and my hope is that in telling my story, the highs and lows, the mistakes, the lessons learned, I can help show that no matter where we come from, we have more in common than we think. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to share what I've learned over the course of my life so far, and excited for people to read a first-hand account of my life that's accurate and wholly truthful. However, former staff of Harry and Meghan Markle claim they do not believe the Duke will be wholly truthful despite his promises. Dan Wootton, journalist and GB News presenter, spoke to a royal source who cast doubt on the book's promised honesty. In his Mail Online column, Mr. Wootton said his source believes some of these ex-workers simply do not trust that a full and accurate picture will be presented. The source added, many of Prince Harry and Meghan's former staff doubt the book will be wholly truthful because if it was, Harry and Meghan would come out of it looking terrible. Other royal experts have weighed in on the news of Harry's book, with Telegraph editor Camilla Tominey saying it won't set the record straight. In the outlet's newsletter, she said, what I would question is his suggestion that it will represent the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. Like their Oprah Winfrey interview, the book will surely reflect the Sussexes' truth, but not necessarily anyone else's. After all, autobiographies are the perfect vehicle for telling the truth about other people. Ingrid Seward, royal expert, told GB News the Duke of Cambridge will come out worst from the Megxit memoir as it is directly related to his future. She told the broadcaster, William is probably the one that will come out of this worst of all, because there is a row between William and Harry, and basically, if Harry says things that are inappropriate about the monarchy, that is William's future. It's not Harry's future, he is out of it now, but it is William's future. The BBC also reported there is growing disquiet at Buckingham Palace over Harry's tell-all book, according to sources. The broadcaster reported that Harry did warn his family, but other sources say Charles was surprised by the announcement. One senior source also told The Standard, it is fair to say there is growing disquiet about this project at the palace. Sources also fear Harry's book could overshadow Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee in 2022. Meghan Markle had confided in a number of friends about her hopes for a friendship with Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge, but was left disappointed as the two sisters-in-law were very different people. According to the new Channel 5 documentary Meghan at 40, Meghan Markle had initially been keen to develop a close friendship with her sister-in-law Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge. However, Meghan was left feeling a bit rebuffed as a rift began to develop between the two, due to their very different approaches to royal work. Royal expert Emily Andrews said, here were two women, both outsiders, marrying into the royal family. Living on the same complex at Kensington Palace, of course, they'd be besties. And actually that's what Meghan felt. She confided in a number of her friends that she hoped Kate would help her adjust to royal life, but the cracks started to show pretty early on. Behind the scenes, Meghan was feeling a bit rebuffed, and not sure whether Kate ever realized. William had said to Harry before they got engaged, no need to rush this. You've got all the time in the world, you don't know her that well, and I think that set the seeds. Tom Quinn, the author of Kensington Palace, an intimate memoir, said, Meghan and Kate initially got on very well, but they are very, very different. Kate wants to do things quietly, she wants to obey the rules, she takes advice. Meghan is a much more strident character who wanted to do things her way, so this caused a rift. Kate first met Meghan at Kensington Palace in January 2017 when she was Prince Harry's then-girlfriend. Following their engagement that November, Prince Harry invited Meghan to spend Christmas with the royal family at Sandringham. The couple were hosted by William and Kate at Anmore Hall, the Cambridge's country residence that lies within the Sandringham estate grounds. Whilst the two couples were referred to as the Fab Four following Meghan's marriage to Prince Harry, rumors of a rift had begun to circulate. In October 2018, following Harry and Meghan's South Pacific tour, the couples decided to split their royal households, and the Sussexes moved out of Kensington Palace. They also broke away from the joint royal foundation and established their own charitable endeavor. In the press, a story had emerged that in the lead-up to the royal wedding, Meghan had made Kate cry in a spat over flower girl dresses. During her tell-all interview with Oprah Winfrey, Meghan revealed that the opposite had happened, and that Kate had reduced her to tears in an argument over Princess Charlotte's dress. The Duchess said, the issue was correct about flower girl dresses, and it made me cry and it really hurt my feelings. And I thought in the context of everything else that was going on in those days leading to the wedding that It didn't make sense to not be just doing what everyone else was doing, which was try to be supportive, knowing what was going on with my dad and whatnot. She also called Kate a good person and said, "I don't think it's fair to her to get into the details of that because she apologized and I've forgiven her." Prince Harry's relationship with his brother has also taken a turn over the last few years, and he characterized their relationship as space during his talk with Oprah. Meghan Markle and Kate have not seen each other since before the COVID-19 pandemic, although Kate sent her well wishes to the couple's baby daughter Lilibet. Although Prince William, Prince Harry and Kate put on a united front at the funeral of Prince Philip in April, reconciliatory talks behind closed doors remained unproductive.